All right, now that you have your matrix report downloaded, obviously you want to be able to add filters so that when you have a bunch of students in this column, you can filter by their percentage correct or by each question that the students took on their assessment. In order to do that, first you have to manipulate this report. If you look up at these columns, you see B, C, D, you're like, whoa, where's column A? Because you need to be able to unhide that in order to first start. So you take your cursor and you see when this little arrow comes across, you are going to right click and then pull it to your right, and there you can see column A now shows up. Now you have a little bit more room to kind of manipulate and figure out what columns you can delete, which columns you can't. The next step you do is you click your first student. When you click your first student, you can see that it's in columns A and B. This means that these columns have been merged, which if you have merged columns, you cannot filter. So now you have to unmerge these columns. So you click the student name, and Excel is nice and awesome, and it'll highlight this merge and center area right here. Click the arrow and you unmerge these cells. So now what you see is you have Mr. Reyes in column A, and then column B is blank. Now column B sucks, you don't need it anymore. You click it, then you right click and you delete that column. You also have a column for student IDs. You don't need, actually let's go ahead and leave that column in case we want to pull data into a master report. And then you can see this like generated on, so you can go ahead and delete that, and that's usually at the end of your list by clicking it, right click, delete. Now this makes it much easier to put in a filter. Other things you might want to be able to delete are your rubric, because that's all the same, so you don't want that. And then multiple choice, this just tells you the value, so you don't really need that, so you can delete that as well. The first column has nothing in it, and so again, that's another column that you want to just delete. Now, your document is ready for filtering. In order to add a filter, you're going to highlight what you want filtered. So again, you highlight what you want filtered. We have some points possible here, and this sometimes shows up, this sometimes doesn't. So again, I would just go ahead and delete that. So that way all you have is your question, your class percent, and then your kiddos. In order to do your filters, you now must unmerge your class percent, so that way it doesn't interfere with your student ID. And sometimes what I like to do is just put SI here for student ID. Now you're ready to filter. In order to filter, you must highlight the columns you want filtered. If you don't highlight all of them together, they will filter one column and then not the other. So you highlight all the columns, click your data, and then your filter, and then your filters pop up. This will now allow you to filter what you want to see.